make recommendations to the full board. So, being that we don't have a quorum for this committee right now, I don't think we need to take a vote on minutes.
Well, we can.
Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
You have them in front of you, you can review them, but.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Mel,
can do.
did you have any questions or concerns on the minutes? I didn't.
Nope, I didn't.
Correct to me. Bylaws review.
I'll just state, and I think Kevin Garcoli can jump in here. So based on our previous, and you can kind of see it, from the minutes of the previous meetings, we had asked to review the bylaws. Based on the discussion, and we had already done this at our May meeting, so we don't have to take any additional action on this. So at the May meeting, if you look back, it says that there was, based on Kevin's recommendations, to include language related to ad hoc special committees. There was an action taken actually at that last governance committee, so that will be put forward today with no new additional recommendations, since it was already made, that these bylaws be adopted, these amended bylaws be adopted by the board today. So we don't have to spend a lot of time on that, but this has already been looked at over the last several months. There was really, I think the only main change of that, Kevin, and maybe you can confirm on that, was that there was no language in the bylaws stating that the chair had the ability to put together a committee, so we added it. I mean, just because it's not in there doesn't mean you can't do it, but we wanted to confirm that in particular, and so that was added. There were no other changes that I remember. I think it was just maybe correcting a little bit of grammar stuff, things like that. But correct. That was the main item. So
That's exactly it. Just addition of the ability to create ad hoc committees as needed,
that's on page 5.
and the chair having the ability to do that. So
that's in relation to special committee for a unique purpose.
yeah, you talk about housing or looking at our
UEJ or
some UEJ
Industrial Park Implementation Committee.
right, yeah, something of that nature.
This committee and the other standing committees are in the bylaws.
Correct.
Or
They have to exist. They're required.
Yeah, right.
They're required by state law to have a governance and audit and a finance committee. This is just as needed to get done business.
Okay.
And I will just state that, since we're here, I mean, any ad hoc special committees we create, or that you create, we would take minutes of those meetings as if they're any of our other committees, just so that action is.
So do those committees need to be live streamed and all that too, or
Ideally, when feasible and practical. I mean, I suppose if we're holding a meeting outside of an area that doesn't have the technology capabilities, then
like if we go to the industrial park to visit the site and see what's going on, and it would be impractical to do that.
Yeah, correct.
But you could have minutes from.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the new laws, state laws on open meetings and FOIL don't prohibit you from meeting. There's language in there that says if the organization has the technical capability there to live stream and make it available to the public, but it wouldn't, all other requirements, would be met: public notice, taking the minutes, approving them at future meetings, having they'd be an open meeting, right? So anybody could attend because they will have had notice. It's just that the practical ease of just switching on YouTube and watching the meeting wouldn't be there. But again, it's.
Do we state that any place that wherever possible we do it?
The law, the New York State law, the open meetings law has that language in it.
It does already have it, so
Yeah.
we follow that, so we don't
Correct.
need to mention it in our bylaws.
I wouldn't,
Okay,
my opinion would be no.
all right.
Yeah.
Then way if the state changes the law, our bylaws are still in compliance with whatever the state law.
Yeah.
We've seen
That's
changes.
what we're about.
We can have less, no, we can have more than the state, but we can't have less than.
You have to have what the minimum required.
Yeah.
Yep. So like I said, we don't have to take an action because we already took one previously at the May 28th meeting. It's just when we have our actual meeting today, the recommendation would come from you, Nick, that at a previous governance committee meeting, these bylaws were recommended for approval. So
Subject to the small changes that
it's already in
asked you
here.
to
Yeah, it's already in there.
They're in here.
Yep. So there's nothing we need to really take an action on. I don't know if you want to move on to the next item.
So policies.
Sure. So policies, and so part of this, Kevin has put together sort of this research chart. I'll say Kevin Caracoli's put together a memo and two, a research chart for the governance committee of going over every policy and if there's any need to make updates to those or not. So there's several that are either they're already current with ABO or they're not required by ABO. So they're just, not to say that they're not needed to be updated, but it's not applicable related to ABO. Of certain things that need to be done. I think there's specific ones. I think the conflict of interest policy in particular was one. I think the FOIL policy was another that that are required to be updated. What we're requesting for today is understanding, acknowledging that there needs to be a couple updates to those. Those still need to be tweaked a little bit. Is we reaffirm our policies that we have from 2024, which you have in your packet here. All brand, I'm not asking you to go through each one. Well, it's Kevin has already done that, and just say as of now we are reaffirming because we need to do that on an annual basis. But we're going to be updating, most likely updating our UTEP in the next several months, and that at the same time we would do that. Those other the conflict of interest and the FOIL policy, and those would be done as together. So
Okay, so we're going, such as the conflict of interest, then we are going to add a statement,
yes.
That all board members and employees should be provided with a conflict of interest policy, as you had requested.
Correct.
So that's
And
what
that's
we are.
right here too. So
Okay.
that's and just to make a clarification that the organization does not have, the IDA does not have employees. It has officers appointed by the board on behalf of it, CEO, CFO. So that Kevin and I are listed on here to sign that conflict of interest policy, and then the board does as well. So it's a clarification
So
that
you have to sign.
I know, I've had gone back and forth with the county, the code of ethics, and I think the last ruling I received was that they would not.
Okay.
so that is something that we are we're going to add that to that, but it's something that we will comply with going forward and make the other changes. I guess the only thing I would say is that the conflict of interest policy, it's not explicitly defined on the IDA's website, but that's different than an actual policy. I would just say that the conflict of interest policy will be clearly spelled out on the IDA's website, and that's part of our website redesign we have going on right now. So that's already in process, those things. So it's not something we necessarily need to make a huge change.
Yeah, and the good news that I want to emphasize is that we have all these policies in place. It's not like we're missing policies. It's just that, in terms of some of the core policies that the ADO requires, they were adopted at a certain point in time, and the law has changed or evolved, right, within the last, let's say, 5 years. In some cases, in the case of FOIL, within the last 2 years, right? So it's just a matter of bringing our existing policies up into compliance with those changes. That having been said, we just talked about the whole open meetings law, and this agency follows that pretty closely to, if not to the letter of the law. Just our policies may not necessarily reflect the current legal requirements, but in practice we are doing it. And I think doing it better than a lot of other authorities do it.
Now, are we going through the ones that basically where you have said no, we're not in compliance?
So the ones that again, that these are all policies that have been adopted. I'm almost positive we have a
We
cybersecurity
do.
policy.
Yep.
But you're asking that it should include administrative, technical, et cetera.
Correct. Yeah, and these are, again, these are just adjustments to the law. And you'll notice, you know, there's a bit of a theme, conflict of interest policy with all of this stuff going on in Albany over the last several years. That's where that change came from. Cybersecurity with all the changes in technology, that's where that came from, right? So, oil policy, we just talked about, you know, that's ever evolving. The other one.
I do have a question though, before we go further down, the delinquent loan policy.
Yep.
Why do they still indicate Michael Treadwell?
Because it wasn't caught, that's all.
Oh, so that's being updated.
Yeah, it was just something, it was an oversight.
Okay,
Those are on the sample notices, of course, the actual notices producing. Updated.
Yeah, we don't send out our sample notice. We send out one specific to each project that has the updated thing, but there's just the sample one as part of that doesn't have it.
okay, so that has been
Yeah.
taken care of.
Yeah, it's us on the administrative side, it doesn't get through. It's just actually in the policy that still exists, doesn't have it.
Okay,
We're not sending anything out like that doesn't have our names on it, for sure.
Let's see. The other one, again, the sexual harassment policy is another one where it's a policy that's evolving primarily driven by state, you know, state actors that trickle down to the local government. So we have to bring that into the compliance.
It's funny because the workplace violence one was one we just originally adopted a year and a half ago, and it's already out of compliance. So it's just these things that we have to sort of continue to.
Loan program interest rate policy,
Mhm.
does that not need to be on the website or?
So that's not one that's required by the ABO in any way. So we actually caught something on there that just needs to be updated. So we pulled it so we can make that change. It had fixed numbers, and we don't have fixed numbers in our interest rate policy right now because of things being so variable. It was actually approved by the IDA board back in 2023 to set our rate to prime with discounts based on the type of business it was. So that was just something we caught in there. And it's being actually updated as we speak.
If you'll notice too on this chart that the mandatory policies the ABO requires are in bold. If it
Okay.
doesn't pop out as maybe as much as I probably should have. But they are, the ones in bold are the.
Yep.
Are the mandatory.
The other ones are ones we just adopted at some point because it was important to us for one reason or another.
And again, following ABO guidance, many of these are what they call best practice.
what about,
That's what we've implemented. is-
Yeah. what about a procurement policy where we don't have a statement regarding preferred source? Procurement,
Yeah. Again, that,
you know, preferred source to the veterans, not-for-profit, blind, correctional, all that stuff.
It's not something we ever had in there, so it's something that I don't know if that's a best practice or if that's a required at this point, but that's something that Kevin's identified is that it should be included into that policy.
Okay.
So that's something that, like I said, with the amount of things that we needed to add, we decided for this meeting, bring them to your attention. Let's reaffirm, and then we should get these updated as soon as we can. So, because we do need to reaffirm on an annual basis. The nice thing is we've already, you know, I guess the other option is that you can say, instead of reaffirming, because there's some that need to be changed, we can table that to a future meeting. We just need to make sure we do it once per year, per fiscal year. This is the first meeting in the new fiscal year, well, actually technically second, because we had the special one year earlier this month. So we're in compliant. We already approved this in the last fiscal year. We just need to be able to do it at some point this fiscal year. We just decided to do it at our first meeting of the year. So if you don't feel comfortable making the recommendation because there's so many of these that need to have a change, instead of reaffirming, we're actually holding that until it's been done.
Okay,
That's
okay.
fine too.
What would be a reasonable timetable to expect to make all these changes?
I was looking at UTEP by the end of this year or the first meeting in January, so I think the same recommendation.
I think we package it together.
Yep.
there's no harm in reaffirming what we have right now, right?
There is not, I mean, but the only thing you're acknowledging at this point is you know that there's some out of compliance and so reaffirming them anyway. So I would just say that,
So maybe we'd be better off tabling it.
like I said, I think it's good. I mean, we're being transparent, bringing it to your attention. And that's really up to you to decide, do you reaffirm it with knowing that some of these are out of compliance? It's not like we need to do it to get it done within the year. Like if this was the last meeting of the year and we had to do it, or else we couldn't say that we reaffirmed during that year, then we'd be in a tough spot. We're not in that situation.
Because the last time was in August of 24, so
It was the first meeting of the fiscal year.
that just ended.
Yeah, so we have any time between now and July of next year.
But it's not gonna harm anything to reaffirm this and say, we know these are not some of these are out of compliance and we're working on it. And
I don't think so,
Right.
as long as we don't just do it and then leave it. I mean, you guys gotta hold us to the fire to say, okay, we're doing this with the acknowledgement that you guys are gonna bring
we'll
this to.
expect it to be done within the first 6 months of the new fiscal.
I would say in the next
Sometime
4
before
months.
February.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, then what is the harm of not of holding off? It's a harm in holding off until it is done.
there's no harm.
I mean, I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
know the best laid plans of mice and men.
Sure.
Yes, we affirm because you know you guys are gonna do it, and then all of a sudden it gets shelved, we forget about it, and we've already affirmed.
Yeah.
Thinking you're gonna do it, but for whatever reason, too much on your plate, you don't do it. Now we've reaffirmed and we shouldn't have. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I would
I
say
don't think
in
there's
the,
anything saying we shouldn't have at this point.
there isn't anything saying you shouldn't, but I would say that we have brought it to your attention. And I don't want to say, tell you recommend to reaffirm or not, but like I said, we're bringing to your attention, there's things that are out of compliance and so it's up to you to decide, do you want to reaffirm with that understanding, or do you want to wait until everything is and then you prove it?
Personally, I wanna wait till it's done. I don't wanna affirm something that isn't complete. That's just my own.
The bylaws are complete, so I mean,
Yeah,
that's one
bylaws I
thing
don't
that
have a
we're
problem
good.
with. I think our policies.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't find any fault in that.
no. I just don't like to have to keep saying, I have to keep your feet to the fire, you know? I'm just gonna say, okay, guys, you know, we're not gonna,
Yeah.
until you.
I would have said if this was our July meeting and we hadn't done it all year, I would say, could you please do it just so that we can say that we did it within the year,
Okay.
acknowledging it needs to be changed. We're not in that position right now.
Completely exploded on that one.
And so, I mean, that's the other thing is that, you know, I specifically, we didn't do anything related to the UTEP right now, because I want to have the full board's input into that, because if we're talking about that's UTEP for like housing and other things like that, I mean, it would be good to get the full board input, not just the governance committee on that. And that was one that,
You got the research done on that as to what are the.
Sort of.
things included in
Yeah,
the
I mean,
text and-
There's a couple
How
gold
it's gonna work.
standards. I don't know if we want to go to that level. Because there's also, from my perspective is that there's some groups that have done this great work on the UTEP and the program hasn't been used. So there's some issue there that, you know, they created a policy that is not necessarily attractive to the market. And so I want to make sure that, not to say that we don't do that, but we don't follow what others have done if it's not a successful law.
So it hasn't been used because no one's applied to use
The,
it?
the
or because-
benefits are not attractive to the market to encourage the type of development that they're trying to encourage. So I think it's something that's good information for us to have though, because if we see that another market that's a similar market hasn't utilized that benefit, or hasn't incentivized the type of development, then we need to look and say, okay, well, maybe that's not you know, for our market, maybe we need to look at something that's just put together differently. So, more to come on that, but I think that's why I don't want to say, hey, let's look at what this IDA did and just, and look to adopt it, because if it's not working for them, then.
Well, there's no examples out there that there's an IDA that adopted one and things started taking off.
There's one in particular, but I think it's a different market, and I think what we'll do is we'll present it as an option, but it's not
Which one is that? Okay.
yeah, Tompkins County. We're very sort of unique because of the eds and meds, sort of, model they're built around. I would say that what works there because of Cornell and Ithaca College won't specifically work here. But it's not bad to, it's not bad to look at it as, this is what they've identified as what's important. It's just, the model is not necessarily, something we can. but they do a great job in terms of laying it all out, what they're doing, why they do it and that. And I think some of it, I look at it like a buffet, pick what we like and don't, just adopt the whole thing. So,
So to make some progress here,
Mhm.
what we're looking to do is recommend the bylaws for the full board.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
And policies. We're gonna recommend that we table until changes. Right?
correct.
Probably here.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say if we could do it for the December meeting, if not the January meeting, one of those two. We'll shoot for the December and,
Have January.
yeah, so probably what we would do then is just thinking ahead in terms of governance, the governance would meet again, either probably in December. To.
Or January, December, everything gets kind of crazy,
You
so
know, yeah,
don't understand.
Yeah.
And we don't go by that calendar year. correct?
no, we don't,
So,
we're a August 1 through July 31 fiscal year.
I mean, I don't know, depends on when
Yeah.
December, I know I've already got things.
I don't, there's no real reason to do it one over the other. I mean, we'll see when they're ready and, I mean, if the latest is January meeting.
January's like this year, I'll be in the truck all month, so.
Yeah. Hope not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're recommending that we table the policies until then, and, the UTEP, we're gonna review at what point, to do this.
Well, let's just say tentatively right now, October, November, December, as part of, and then that will be part of that package for January.
So we'll have discussions at the board level in each of those meetings to
Either at the
You-
board level or at an ad hoc committee
concepts,
level.
or we set up an ad hoc committee to review the UTEP.
Do that. I mean, it's
Thank-
not, it's one of those things, I mean, it's, to me, it's sort of a governance committee action, but it's important. I would want to make sure you have a full, so maybe it is governance committee, but you invite the full board.
And just to remind you with the ad hoc language that the full board's going to adopt, you can have non-members participate. So you might have a stakeholder or two outside the agency come into to help bolster, discussions.
So somebody from the county.
Yeah,
Possibly.
yeah, whether it's the county or somebody with, what type of housing,
Some developer.
construction experience, whatever, yeah. What would work?
Yeah, I think that we need
doesn't
to
work.
almost sort of
Oh, Ryan Malone.
talk of, well, I would talk to a couple and say, is this something that would move the needle for you? Because ultimately, we don't want to do something that we put all this work into and then it's like we just missed the mark.
So let's, at the full board meeting today, we'll recommend doing, I'll ask for volunteers to be on a committee like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So that what I would recommend then, because is maybe under other business, that is an item for that committee to. I'll make a mark, just so we don't forget when it gets there. Mhm.
Now, how strong are they with, I know, one more things that I'm on at the harassment things. Sexual harassment and workplace violence and all of that. It's even in my soil and water for I'm on, I have to show that I have gone through that, for a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that something that the employees or the board members have to do?
Correct.
And we've never, at least since I've been here, I've heard nothing about proving that I have, not that I want to go through the same thing, it's the same thing I'm doing over and over.
If you've done it for one of your organizations, you can.
Right, I can do it for everybody.
Show that
Same
it's
one that,
Ouch, right.
right,
Yeah.
one counts for everything.
Yeah, but we that's probably something else in terms of we have conflict of interest policy, and we may have to have some sort of a form on an annual basis that gets signed to acknowledge that it's been done.
Yeah, it just seems like more and more, I'm like, okay, yes,
Yeah.
I've already done it.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other discussion on policies?
Nope.
So, mission statement, where are we at on?
Sure. So, as you remember, we had, at a previous meeting, we had, so I'm gonna pass this around. We have, those three sheets are sort of, one is the top is our mission statement, and then we had some, ones from other IDAs. The ones that are highlighted are the ones that actually specifically mention, housing within their statement, and then we also have a draft. This is just, like I said, this is your first time seeing it, so I want to make sure that we, I'll give you that here. This is a draft. Doesn't mean we have to adopt this today. If we don't feel that this is perfect, then we can workshop this as well. I think this probably would be one to. I think we're good here. So, sure, yeah.
All right.
Yep, I've got my own here, so we're a couple more. So, the first one I just wanted to kind of show you the IDA's current mission statement. It's a two-part mission statement. County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency's mission is to establish and implement sound economic development strategies in order to enhance the economic vitality of Oswego County businesses, industries, communities, and citizens, leading to an overall better quality of life. Key to the agency's mission is the creation, retention of job opportunities, diversification, and strengthening of Oswego County's economic base, and developing the local economy in a planned, organized, and environmentally compatible manner. I would say based on some of the other ones we looked at, it's a kind of a long one. It's not the longest, but it's on the longer end.
A little redundant, some of the.
Yeah. Saratoga County's is a little bit longer than ours, and a couple of the other ones are around the same amount. So, but then there's also, so Herkimer County IDA is one that specifically mentions housing. Monroe County IDA specifically mentions housing. I don't have the Tompkins one on here, but I know theirs specifically mentions housing. So just to show you some that have housing in it, what it looks like. And then lastly, we have this draft one here that sort of did two things. One, it sort of shortened our somewhat long mission and included housing into it. So this is one that we could look to potentially adopt, or we could continue to workshop as we work on some of these policies. So the proposed mission statement is as follows. The County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency is committed to establishing and implementing sound economic development strategies, which is similar to what we have in ours in the first statement, to the creation and retention of job opportunities, training of a diverse and strong workforce, and the establishment of a variety of stable housing stock in order to enhance the economic vitality of Oswego County's businesses, industries, communities, citizens, and visitors, producing an overall better quality of life. So I think we included a couple words that we don't have, like visitors is one I think in particular is one we didn't have in our previous, but it's important to the tourism industry and others to include visitors.
Well, that's one thing you didn't mention in here.
Yeah.
Is recreational opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of our biggest,
Mhm.
things in Oswego County.
Yeah.
And we promote it
So
so much.
maybe that's something
Somehow
that
we
needs to
do
be
that.
added, supporting.
Yes. Between our lake and Salmon River and all of our.
I don't know if
you know,
we'll say recreational opportunities, which is tourism industry. I mean,
Yeah. Only reason I threw that
because
is,
I think it's gonna qualify.
Yeah.
I stole that from, I saw real quick in Jefferson, it says recreation opportunities,
Yeah.
that's why I threw that, but tourism, anything that would,
Well, maybe what we gotta do is continue to work. What I will say is I think that this does two things. One, it includes housing and it
Mhm.
shortens it up.
Yeah.
But I also agree, I think that we mentioned visitors down here as something we're trying to enhance vitality of. We also need to figure out that within the top part of it.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I would say is that establish a variety of stable housing stock. I think we could kind of shorten that down to,
So, too.
I think something that means the same thing, but just in a few less words, and then somehow get in the, I don't think we're trying to identify all of our target industries, but I think that tourism and recreational is such an important part that it helps us too when we go and say if we have a tourism related project that,
I'm hoping we're gonna get that marine sanctuary brick and mortar, and there's a project right there that we'd be able to.
well, somehow, some way, I mean, that, we'll see how that is. I mean, it's probably not gonna be something that the private sector is going to develop. maybe
No,
there's-
but yeah, I'm just
you know.
saying that something might
Sure.
come from that, though. That would be
Absolutely.
things where you may have somebody who wants to have a scuba shop, or somebody wants to do
Absolutely.
another schooling
Yep.
and stuff, just for that one, but
Yeah.
also, I believe there's, Assemblyman Barkley is talking about some type of a museum,
Mhm.
for Salmon River, you know, so someone might want to get, so I'm just
Yeah.
saying there is different,
Mhm.
opportunities there. And with the growth of Legend Field, I can see somebody wanting to do something also.
So I guess, you know, what I would say is we want to have recreational or tourism in here. Do we go the whole thing and mention our other target industries, manufacturing, energy, other things, or do we call that out specifically because it's we call out visitors? You know, I guess.
You know, I think,
No, we do show the nuclear in our emblem for Oswego County.
Or do we just say we support our target industries? Do we need to identify them?
I don't think we
specifically?
need to identify every industry
Okay.
that we're targeting in the mission statement. I think,
Okay.
my opinion, simpler is better as long as you're covering our bases. And including housing was important,
Mm-hmm.
because if it's not in there, we are doing it.
It's harder to justify.
It's harder to
benefits.
justify them. And so, but if we include businesses, industries, communities, citizens, and visitors, we're including recreational opportunities, and I mean, you could say committed to establishing and implementing sound economic development strategies, creation, retention, job opportunities, training of a diverse and strong workforce, establishment of variety.
And this is one too, I just want to state that this is not the same as policies and bylaws where you need to reaffirm, but you do need on a yearly basis to review the mission statement to make sure that it still meets the organization. So with this, same thing. I mean, if we were to say today, hey, we have a mission statement, this is what it is, you know, we've reviewed it today, but we know we're still going to change it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because you're not reaffirming it, you're just reviewing it. Reaffirming is a different sort of action. You're you know, kind of review. But so do you want us to include some of these other items, send it off to the full board for review before? Like I said, review is very different than revising and adopting a new one. I wonder, do we want to send this off for input from everybody before we make a recommendation for?
Mission statement's huge, that's
Yes.
for everybody, so I think everybody should have an opportunity to, look at the mission statement.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at what Oswego County stands for, what are some of the big things that we have?
Yeah.
I guess, that
Yeah.
identifies this from a different county. How
Sure.
how does that a little bit different than what other counties' real mission is? Or what do they stand for, I guess? Or when you think of Oswego County, what are some things we wanted to, especially with everything that's going on with, possibility of having another nuclear reactor, you know, so energy or something, and as they say, so, and it's even on our pin for Oswego County, our logo shows nuclear.
Well, we could, without calling out specifically identifying every target industry, you could just put, you know, target, you know, supporting our target industry clusters in there. So you're mentioning them
You're
without having
mentioning
to
it
call it
without-
out specifically.
Yeah,
Because that also includes agriculture, you know, I mean, it includes,
yeah, obviously, we can't be listing
Tourism.
everything. I
Tourism,
understand.
yes.
You know, agriculture, tourism, and nuclear are three of the things.
we
that are
got
on
rid of
the
a paragraph, we create a new one.
I know,
So-
I know.
Well, here's my thought on it, Mel. The more,
I
the
know,
more we
more
get
words we
specific, but no, the more specific we get in the description in here,
Yeah,
the more another industry may
Yep.
feel left out, or
You're right.
may be perceived to be not welcomed, or something like that. And the more that we make it general, because if you look at some of these, I mean, they're two sentences.
Yeah.
And it accomplishes what they need to do.
Right.
So.
No.
I don't want to say we can't help them.
industries right there. The word industries would take in manufacturing, would take in, nuclear, would take in tourism. They're all industries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can have this be more general in the mission statement and be more focused in what we actually do.
Yeah.
You know,
No, you're right. I just opened Pandora box there for a little minute, okay, and bringing them back
It's
in.
good to think through it.
no, there's no harm in talking it through.
Oh, no,
It's-
tough, but it's like, I understand. I agree with that, because you're right. Well, somebody will come up and say, well, you didn't mention me. You're all about this, but what
Well,
about me?
I don't want to create an issue for ourselves.
What about logging? What about?
Well,
Yeah, about logging.
or, I mean, if somebody comes to us with an, you know, an automotive repair business, and we think it's a really important one to support, but we don't have it listed, does that mean we can't
Right.
support it? You know, I mean, that's not with a pilot, but with a financing or something else. So I think there are some issues.
Yeah, and business could also be, there's agricultural businesses, so
Sure.
they can
So
go underneath that.
what I would say, because we're about 15 minutes from one, is maybe we continue, we incorporate a little more into this and send it to the full board.
Like what?
Well, do we need to put anything about tour? You
No.
said that you think that visitors incorporates that.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree what Nick's trying to say is that we don't want to lock ourselves into certain things, as long as it's a broad enough statement that you could say you're included in that.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
So do you think, as it currently stands, that this mission statement as proposed meets everything we're looking to do, or do you
I
think?
think it does. I think the only thing that I would consider is shortening up the sentence.
Yeah,
Some rewording on it.
Some rewording,
Yeah.
work that a little bit.
See that?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be opposed to approving it the way that it is. I
yeah.
think it could be a little bit cleaner.
Well, I'm just looking at what the other ones have done, and
They kind of just put housing in a list where you have business, industries, communities, it says.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what if it was just take an establishment of sustainable housing options
Well, what
instead
if
of a
you're putting
variety
it
of
under your-
sustainable housing stock?
Well, why not put the housing stock in with your little list of everything that we've got? To establish a variety or to enhance the economic vitality of Oswego County's housing stock, businesses, industries, just have housing
Yeah.
stock as one of the things you list.
Yeah,
I mean, like in her commercials, enhance community vitality by supporting job creation, housing, business, industrial development, community revitalization. So if we have, in order to enhance the economic vitality of Oswego County's businesses, industries, communities, housing stock,
Yeah,
citizens and visitors,
yeah,
I think.
mhm.
we could just put that in there.
Eliminate that whole line.
Well, yeah, because actually you're singling out housing stock as more important than the rest of the things, the way it sits. When you
Or
just
even
add it
just
to the
housing.
end, just housing.
I don't know, what do you think, Kevin?
I was, trying to minimize this even more it's all the word job opportunities, right? To cover it all, including tourism, recreation, it's all economic, right? So what about, I think here's where I was going with this. County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency is committed to establishing and implementing sound and dynamic strategies through the creation and retention of economic development opportunities, right? That kind of catches everything. Training of a diverse workforce, I'm still kind of hung up on the housing stock, but in other words, capturing all of, jobs, tourism, recreation, cultural, enhancements, all of that, it's all economic development. But, and so is housing, but housing is, I don't know.
Housing is not perceived as something that is an industrial development deal, right? And I think we need to include it because the powers that be have said that if we're gonna do it, we need to include it in our mission in order to define that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, because it's
And
not,
that's on,
it's dissimilar from the other.
I do want to state that that's specific to a residential only project. If it's some sort of mixed use project or it's affordable low income housing, those are already sort of understood as things that IDAs have been involved in. It's really more about like strict market rate housing kinds of things that's where some of the IDAs have gotten in trouble for when they've done that without having it. That's a challenge. So, I mean, I look at this and I kind of think some of these that make the most sense are the ones that are sort of the most broad.
Yeah.
And they don't get to detail about
Yeah.
stuff. Like even, the Oswego County does, or the OSIDA, so Onondaga County says to stimulate economic development, growth and general prosperity for the people of Onondaga County by using incentives, rights and powers in an efficient and cooperative manner. It's not getting into, visitors versus residents versus whatever. It just says the people of the county, so. I don't know. I mean, I think that we might be getting a little too detailed about it and doesn't mean you can't have housing in there, but
I
that
think-
kind of covers it.
I think we need to put housing in there, and I don't think it hurts to put visitors in there, because
Yeah.
if we're, with a strong focus for our county is tourism, which it is for Onondaga County too, but, I think that enhances it a little bit, it's just one word.
Yeah, visitors captures tourism, recreation, culture,
Well, hotels, I mean, all the big
Hotels.
things that you kind of trying
Yeah.
to,
bringing your kid to college. and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all-
All of
yeah.
So,
yeah, I get where that's coming from because you're looking at,
You're trying to bring people to Oswego, so we want the visitors, we want them to. we want-
See the traffic outside, slow it down.
What a mess it is.
How many people do we need here?
yeah, we don't have anything about roads in here, so we're not getting involved in that one. Yeah, so, all right, we're getting real close, and I think that at this point, I think we need to tweak it a little bit more. I think it's,
So you understand where we're coming from,
yes,
right? So
Yeah.
tweak it, and
Yeah.
then send it to the full board
absolutely.
for
Okay.
review.
Yep.
And then we'll take a month to review it, and then we'll take a look at it at the next following meeting. Okay?
Yes,
Does that make sense?
it does.
Now, I don't know if it's, the governance, or is it general, that we discuss some of the website suggestions that Kevin went through.
I think that probably not the appropriate time during the governance committee to do.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of those are already being incorporated with our work with step one. So,
Okay.
if there's anything in particular, we can call that out, but a lot of that's already underway.
So one question, what do we do for charity work then? Or do we sponsor, or is it something? I'm just
We
wondering.
don't do that through the IDA. I guess, in terms of charity work,
Could include community service projects or programs. Focus is to help give back to the community and local businesses. I mean, do we do anything? Do we support anything?
I mean,
Sponsor anything? Do we say, rah, rah, you're here, glad you're here? How can we
I
help
guess
you?
the only thing I would be concerned or careful about is if you put that in there specifically, you're gonna then become solicited by all sorts
True.
of groups that
Okay.
that you're opening up Pandora's box.
And I don't think that's the mission of this work.
Okay,
No,
all right, it's just one of the things that was mentioned.
Yeah,
and I didn't know.
I think it's something to address and then say, do you or don't you?
Okay,
Feel like we do it all day long, every day.
yeah,
They don't call it that.
Yeah.
Cheerleading, encouraging.
well,
It's
true,
just
true,
So,
yes.
yeah, it may not be financially, but we're collaborating in other things.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
providing, you're helping with pilots,
So maybe
doing
it's,
all of this, so it is kind of sponsoring.
maybe it's something where the statement is more of like, we collaborate and we support initiatives, but we're not necessarily financially supporting them.
Right. No, aren't we though? I mean, as I say, with all of the loans that we give out or pilots, we are
Yeah.
supporting.
Yeah, but we're not doing like a loan to Harbor Fest, or we're not doing a loan.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so
this
those
is-
things.
We directly get
Yeah.
that. yeah.
So but I think there's some stuff that we can address specifically related to the website when we talk about that.
We're not sponsoring a band at Harbor Fest.
No,
No,
That's
I'm not,
not-
I'm
that's not
not
our
recommending we do.
No.
as he says, that opens the box and now everybody's going, oh, I saw you sponsor them. How about my little?
I have it happen already.
Operation Oswego County does some limited sponsorships within its mission. I'm not
Yep.
getting
Okay.
any details here, but
All right,
some of the things you just mentioned.
well, then it
A
doesn't,
very small handful.
Yep.
that's fine.
So indirectly, the IDA is supporting those
IDA,
things through that.
We could.
Yep.
We can talk about this.
So, we ready to adjourn this meeting?
I think so. Yeah, so the only real action that
Yeah, we
we're
should.
being recommended to go to the other is the adoption of the revised bylaws. And you're not purposely not taking any action related to the policies because we want to have those all done.
Yep.
And then,
So is the bylaws, is that on the agenda for the idea meeting?
Uh,
Doing that under.
indirectly,
For,
it says governance committee recommendations approval is what's stated, so the only thing you're approving, or you're recommending for approval is the
Okay.
bylaws. And then we can always state the mission statement still under work, and we'll send this to you.
so do we need anything for the meeting? I guess we need to adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, we need to adjourn it.
Yeah.
Thanks to that. Well, agreed, we're adjourned.